What role in the Middle East again does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity and government.
Right.
Now I'm telling you, unless the American people wake up and stop it, starting in about 1996, the Battle of Armageddon will become a reality.
He laid out the blueprint for everything we're seeing today. He knew why it had to happen, he knew who was behind the curtain, and he knew what we should expect next.
Read the book of Revelations, whether you believe in the book or not, read it, because the men who are bringing this about are using it as their script.
This interview was recorded in 1992, and as you listen, you'll understand why his blueprint still matters today. Because he said it would all unfold exactly like this, down to the smallest detail of the script.
And I get people who still come to me all the time and say, Bill, you're all wrong, it's the Jews. The Jews are subverting the world. Man, it's not the Jews, it's not the Catholics, it's not the blacks. It's these men who belong to the ancient mystery schools, who meet in secret and decide the fate of the world. And they belong to all different races and all different nationalities and all different religions to the public point of view. But in secret, it's a different story.
He claimed the fate of billions rest in the hands of a small group of people. And their strategy, he said, is simple. Keep us watching the circus so we never look behind the curtain.
At the highest levels of all countries, they all belong to the same club. And we, the people, sit back and we watch this grand drama, which is being played out for our benefit, not theirs. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't even have to do any of this. But you see, they just can't come out and destroy all of us because they need slaves. They need people to make their shoes and make their cars and mine the ore. They need worker bees, and that's what we are.
His name is Bill Cooper, and what you're about to hear is his warning to the world. He believed that if you don't spare the time to hear this message to the end, if you don't make the effort to understand it and finally wake up, then you're participating in the great deception just as much as they are. His words, not mine.
George Orwell was just like me. He was a low-level member of British intelligence who was appointed to a position high enough where he saw the same documents that I saw. And he tried to warn the world just like I'm trying to warn the world, only he wasn't willing to take the risk that I'm willing to take, so he wrote it in a book called 1984 and spelled out exactly what's coming as a warning to the people of the world, as a work of fiction. But you notice that that work of fiction really stirred people up because they knew that it wasn't fiction. In their heart of hearts, everyone who's read that book knows that it's coming.
Here's what Orwell understood. Control doesn't happen overnight. First you distract, then you divide, then you rewrite the rules so people don't even know they're being controlled. 1984 showed us the final destination. A world where nothing is true and everything is permitted except for those in power. For decades, that was just fiction. But now, more and more of the pieces are fitting together. The scenarios that were once ridiculed are beginning to look like the morning news.
Why is it that you are here today, or how is it that you are here today and you're not, conveniently taken away and put in a padded cell somewhere so that you can't speak of these things?
I can tell you this, I began to reveal information in 1976, and I was physically attacked on 2 occasions. My skull was caved in, that's what all these scars are here. On the second attack, I lost my leg, they visited me in the hospital. They had no intention of killing me, they were delivering a message to me. Shut up. And that was the message that came through loud and clear. And 2 men who identified themselves with identification cards who belonged to the Defense Investigative Service, which is really the Defense Intelligence Agency, asked me if I was going to shut up or they were going to have to do it right. And I told him, I said, you don't have to worry about me. I'm going to be a good little boy for the rest of my life, and yeah, I'm going to shut my mouth. And I did for 16 years. Kept silent until I saw this.
You can talk conspiracies all day and people will just ridicule you, call you paranoid. But when you start talking about what you're not supposed to, that's when they come after you. At least that's what Bill said in the full interview. But now, he's starting to say things that really make you pause. Look at the pattern. Why does every piece connect? If it's all just coincidence, why does it keep happening? Listen to this.
Either these men are following the book of Revelation, the book of Revelation as it is in the Bible. They're either following it, just like a plan, and bringing the prophecies in there to pass to manipulate and control those who believe in those prophecies and neutralize them, so to speak. In other words, if this is written in the Bible and God has ordained it, who am I to resist? It must come to pass, so I'm not going to try to stop it.
Okay.
What a perfect way to neutralize the opposition right off the bat. Or there really is a God, and what he said was going to come to pass is coming to pass. And I named this, Behold a Pale Horse, from chapter 13 of the book of Revelations. The fourth horse, the fourth horseman of the apocalypse is the pale horse. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with the beasts of the earth.
Now, look at the four horsemen. Revelation 6 describes white, red, black, and pale. The Greek word for pale is chloros, greenish, the color of death. Some point to the red horse, war, as already writing. The black horse comes next. Famine, collapse. The verse describes inflated prices, scarcity. Some suggest it could be approaching. Revelation 13 describes a world where no one can buy or sell without a mark. Today, central bank digital currencies are rolling out globally. Is it the mark? No one can say. But the technology described? It's being built. Whether you believe it or not, some in power clearly do. Commanders quote Revelation, leaders invoke scripture. Bill Cooper said they're following a script. Look at the pattern. Something is lining up.
Everything that's in my book, Behold a Pale Horse, is all, everything in here, all the documents that are in here, everything that's in this book is in the public domain.
Can be substantiated?
Yes, and I intentionally wrote this book, not using anything that wasn't available to the public, to show people that yes, if I can find this information, so can you. I have tons of stuff that's not available to the public. But as you can see by reading this book, you don't need that stuff because it's what you need is available to you. Public libraries are overflowing with the proof of what's really going on in the world, but nobody really utilizes it to the extent that they're able to pick this out and put it together. Another thing I've done for people is I've put it together for them so that they can see the overall picture rather than looking at small things and thinking that it's isolated. Nothing is isolated. It's all part of a big puzzle.
Why is it that we can hear something this important and still forget it by tomorrow? Maybe we don't want to believe. Maybe we're scared. But I think it's something else. We're numb. Life grinds us down. Work, stress, the endless scroll. It all adds up. And then we turn on the news, hoping to understand. But instead we get noise, distortion, confusion. And that numbness, it becomes a habit, a survival mechanism. But what if that's exactly what some are counting on?
All the media in this country, radio, television, and print, is all owned by 5 corporations. All of these corporations that own the media are owned and controlled, and members of the Council on Foreign Relations sit on their board of directors. But you can trace that yourself.
Okay.
Remember, if you go down and you trace the ownership of a station or a newspaper and you get to a corporation, remember that somebody owns that corporation, and it's usually another corporation. But when you trace the interlocking of all these things, when you get to the top, there's 5. And all journalists know that there's some things you don't write about and you don't talk about because you'll lose your job. And that's where the control is.
Let's try it, shall we? Pick a news network, any network. Let's start with CNN. On your phone, type, "Who owns CNN?" You'll see it's owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Good. Now type, "Who owns Warner Brothers Discovery?" In 2026, that's changing. Warner Brothers Discovery just signed a deal to be acquired by Paramount for over $110 billion. Now type, "Who owns Paramount?" Paramount was bought last year by Skydance Media, and Skydance Media is led by David Ellison. Now type, "Who is David Ellison?" He's the son of Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, one of the richest men in the world. But keep going. Who runs CBS News? CBS is owned by Paramount, and the editor-in-chief of CBS News? Barry Weiss. She was appointed after the Skydance acquisition. Now here's the thing. Cooper said all media is owned by 5 corporations. That was decades ago. Today, the names change, but the pattern doesn't. You start with a news network, you end with a billionaire. And that billionaire, always connected to power. Try it yourself. Pick any network, any platform. Follow the chain, see where it ends. You might be surprised how fast you get to the same place. Let's continue, because this next part is about us.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets. And they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. It's sad. It's really sad.
Juvenal, the Roman poet, said it almost 2,000 years ago. The people who once handed out military commands, high offices, everything, now restrains itself and anxiously hopes for just 2 things: bread and circuses. bread and circuses. Today, the bread is your paycheck. The circus is the game. And while we're glued to the screen cheering for millionaires we've never met, the real decisions are being made somewhere else by people we'll never see. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. History shows that a society obsessed with entertainment often becomes easier to control. As long as we're watching, we're not asking. As long as we're cheering, we're not challenging. And as long as we're numb, they stay in power.
But let me tell you something. When 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country. You have a reflection of the society in which that exists. And it is a sick society that it's doomed to self-destruction.
So based on that scenario, there's some truth into what these men are looking at.
Absolutely, and that's what makes me so sick, is that I'm trying to wake up a people who on a daily basis are proving the ones that I'm warning them about to be right.
Be honest. When was the last Davos meeting? And what exactly was proposed there? Most of us couldn't answer that because we don't care. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have Netflix, we have our own lives, bills, work, relationships. Who has time to track what 150 powerful people discuss in a Swiss mountain town? And even if we watch a video about it, we forget it in seconds. The next scroll, the next notification, the next distraction. That's exactly what Cooper was talking about. While we're busy living our lives, decisions that affect our future are being made elsewhere. And most of us are simply too distracted to notice.
The right track is don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Don't believe George Bush. Don't believe anyone. You got to go out and you got to get proof in your hand before you can believe anything. And to do otherwise today is the biggest mistake that anyone can ever make. You begin believing people, putting your trust in them, that they're telling you the truth. I guarantee you're going to take a ride on a roller coaster you don't want to be on.
Do your own research. Don't jump in the comments and ask, so what do we do now? I'm telling you, use your mind. Because even these videos, they're not here to feed you conspiracy theories. They're here to engage you, to wake something up. Critical thinking is the point. It's better to put your mind to work than to wait for information to be handed to you. Because what if all the information out there is wrong? What then? We have to go back to the roots, back to what we know is good, what we know is wrong. That inner compass, it's still there. We just stopped using it.
Now, do these people recognize the continuity of life? In other words, you have told me earlier that they're after physical immortality.
They believe that through their technology, man will become God. With the power of reason, through technology, man will himself become God. They will engineer, just like he wanted to do, the super race who will live forever. And the concept is the same, and the men behind it are the same as was.
Bill said more than 30 years ago that they would reach for immortality through technology. Back then, it probably sounded absurd. But now, look at what's happening. Neuralink has successfully implanted brain chips in multiple patients. One man used it to play chess just by thinking. Scientists at Harvard and MIT are working on age reversal technologies. Clinical trials are underway for drugs that could add decades to human life. The CEO of OpenAI said recently that we might achieve human-level AI within a few years. And after that, merging human intelligence with machines is the next logical step. Whether you believe that or not, it's hard to ignore that we're moving in that direction faster than anyone predicted.
No matter what your religion is or what you think, they are following the scenario in the book of Revelations to a T, right down to the last little bit. If you want to know what's going to happen in the future, if we don't wake up, and through the power of those, see, not one drop of blood ever has to be spilled, and no one has to ever put any chains on their legs or their arms, ever. If people just wake up and exercise what was given to us in our Constitution, the power of the vote, while we still have that power.
So you say there is still a possibility for like one individual watching this tape to actually make a difference.
You better believe it.
How
Yes.
would that be so?
Well, number one, learn what the truth really is. Get away from the fantasy that you've been living. educate other people, those you know, your family. Once that begins to happen, it spreads. And then if the people decide that they don't want what they have in store for us planned, just through the power of the vote, they can make this country and the world whatever they want it to be. Whatever they want it to be. And there are no limits on that, except to understand that you can never make everything all right, and you can never make everything all bad. Both must exist, and we must maintain a balance.
If you stayed until now, you're probably one of those who's awake. Or at least, you're willing to be. And that comes with a responsibility. Be responsible with your mind. Use critical thinking. Bill said it himself. Don't believe him. Don't believe us. Believe what you can prove, what you can verify. But you have to do the work. You have to research. You have to stay awake. Because if you stay awake, others around you might wake up too. And that's how things change. Now, Bill has a final message for us. So, whoever has ears to hear, let them hear.
By abdicating responsibility, by not walking in that divine state of grace, makes possible anyone meeting behind closed doors to bring about the world that they want. And the world that they want may not be the world that you want, or that I want, or that these people watching might want.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't participate, you can't complain. If you don't help cook the meal, you got no right to bitch about it. You got to sit down and eat what's put on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like that, then you should have been in the kitchen helping to prepare the meal, helping to plan it, helping to prepare it, helping to serve it. If you want to sit on your butt in the living room while somebody else prepares the meal for you and decides what it's going to be and puts it on the table, it's too late to say, Say that's not what you wanted to eat. It's too late to say it's not cooked the way you wanted it to cook.
Well, that's very simple to understand. And
That's right. You got to eat it because you have to eat to live. And I think that anybody can understand the meaning behind that little story.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Clearwater Toyota, and guess what? I have that one hatchback that you've been wanting to see more of, and it's this vehicle right here. This is it. This is a new 2026 Toyota Corolla hatch. This is the Corolla FX hatch. But before we get into this creamsicle colored Corolla, let's talk about what's going on here. So if you go back to the 1980s, there was a Corolla known as the FX, and it really brought that extra sporty style and driving fun. Now, fast forward to model year 2026, Toyota wants to do something a little extra special than what they did with the sedan. And if you haven't seen my review of the Corolla FX sedan, I'll leave it at the end of this one. When it comes to the hatchback, they really went all in on making it super unique and having it be a standout. But what I want to find out is if you're looking for the best new sporty style car, but you don't want to break the bank, you can't afford to go into the Corolla GR territory, is this the best way to go? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into this Corolla FX hatch and find out. Right off the bat, this is your color combo and your only color combo choice. You have that bright metallic orange known as Inferno with those bright white wheels, all four corners. Now the front of the business, you're still gonna get the same style of a Corolla. So you're gonna get your LED daytime running lamps, LED turn signals, and LED headlights. I like the way the Inferno color fits the body lines of the Corolla hatch. Gloss black on the grille, and then the bad news is on the downside you got a little bit more gloss black and fake fog lamps. Normally this is where you would find the fog lamps like on an XSE trim Corolla hatch, but this Corolla FX is based off of the Corolla SE. I kind of think that if you're gonna have a special edition, at least give it the fog lamps. Don't put anything just fake on there that you could find on the other trims. But like I said, the Inferno color really sets it off. I think Dante would be really impressed with this color. Hopefully you got that joke. Now, as you come across the front end, same Corolla style that's been going on for the past couple years. You got the Toyota badge, a little bit of gloss black, and then that large grille opening. It is functional, top and bottom. And then I like the way that the lower lip is color matched to the body. I think it helps define the front end. Plus, what's nice is this aero actually does help with cooling and with overall aerodynamics. But let me know what you think about the face of this FX in that Inferno color. Now, as we rise up, same hood as the other Corollas, nice smooth body lines, a little bit of indentation on both sides, but that's about it. Coming around the bend, here's where things get a little extra interesting. Bright white wheels. How many times in today's day and age do you see a modern new car that's available with white wheels? And like I said, this is the big unique touch when it comes to the Corolla FX, is having the Inferno with the bright white. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size of the wheel? This is an 18-inch wheel. I like the split spoke design, and the black lug nuts kind of set it apart with the black center cap. Now, you are going to get sportier tuning on the suspension because, like I said, this is based off an SE, but still front-wheel drive, and this Corolla hatch is not all-wheel drive. If you want to go full performance, you got to go GR Corolla, but then you're getting up to that $39,000, $40,000 mark plus once you start adding options. But let me know what you think about the wheel style, the color with the Inferno. It really makes me want a creamsicle right about now from the Ice Cream Man. Following down the side, like I said, this is a compact hatch, so you're still gonna get that very good overall size. Metallic black painted on your mirror caps. And then you have flat black around the window frame openings. No sunroof because this is based off an SE. But I like the fact that we have color matched door handles and they paint that Inferno all the way down to that lower sill extension. Now, when we're focusing on the rear wheel here, like I said, these are 18-inch wheels. And when it comes to the tires, they actually put some Yokohama Advan tires on here to give you a nice ride quality, to give you a sporty handling. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this tire? You're basically looking at a 220 on the width, and then you have that 40 series sidewall. It's interesting because it's like part of me, I'm really digging the white. It really makes this stand out. Now, as we rise up, check it out. You have a gloss black raised roof spoiler. You can see on both sides that active space underneath. This is a functional piece of aerodynamic, and I like the way it's gloss black, just like the shark fin antenna and some of the other black elements. Now, you're gonna get the same taillight design as before, and then this is your unique badge, Corolla Special Edition, blacked out on the Corolla badge. And then working our way down to ground level, you have a little bit of gloss black and then very clean on the lower bumper area. My only other zonk is I wish that they would have gave us some type of finished exhaust. That would have been a nice touch. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood of this Special Edition and find out what's powering it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. All the competitors have a prop rod. Underneath the hood is gonna be that bulletproof, tried and true power plant. What are we talking about? We're talking about that 2-liter inline-4 naturally aspirated engine. What does it produce at the end of the day? You're looking at 169 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an eCVT transmission. No manual available, so that's a bit of a zonk. If you're wondering, well, what about 0 to 60? You're looking around 0 to 60 in the 8-second range. Top speed is governed to 115 miles per hour. And MPGs, you're looking at in the city, 30 MPGs, and on the highway, 38 MPGs. So you're doing really good on the MPGs. It just would have been nice if they would have added a little bit more horsepower, maybe 200, make it close to the SI. That would have been a nice touch. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see this creamsicle roll. All right, guys, we are inside this 2026 Toyota Corolla FX hatch. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I gotta be honest, I like the color combination. So unique, but how much is it? It's a very good question. MSRP for the way this one is spec'd is right at $28,900. Now, I know you're saying, well, it would be nice to have more horsepower. It would be nice to have more of this, more of that. Well, guess what? If they did that, they would probably jack up the price. And just to put it in perspective for you, a Honda Civic Si has an MSRP of around $33,000. So this does undercut the Civic Si by about $5 grand, which is a good chunk of change. But let's see if this is the right sporty hatchback. I almost was gonna say sedan. Not many hatchbacks left in the auto industry. let's see what this hatch brings, if it's the right one for you. To the door panels. I do like the fact that they brought in the Inferno orange stitching. So you have soft touch material, the nice stitching. I do have to zonk the gloss black around the switchgear. I don't know why they do that. Door pocket though is big enough for a big Buford from Checkers and a vanilla shake. Now going from the door panel to the dash, soft touch, where's my orange stitching? What's going on here? So I am gonna zonk that they didn't give me orange, they gave me black. I want orange. Cohesive, please, come on in. The other sad news is you don't get the 10-inch screen like the sedan has. You get the 8-inch. So I don't know why they didn't give you the 10-inch screen, but it's the same screen as always with all those different features where you can set up your driver profiles and all those goodies. Throw it into reverse. There's your backup camera. It's on the grainy side, but what's nice is that it takes up all 8 inches, which is good. Then you're right back to where you started. Got a real volume knob, standard AC controls, temperature, and your blower fan. You do have a USB-C, 2 stages of heated seats, wireless charging. This guy is going to control that eCVT, and you do have orange stitching, drive mode selector switch, 2 cup holders. There's your Toyota key fob, same key fob as 30 years ago. Soft touch, no orange stitching. What's going on? Open it up, you got a 12 volt, a USB-C, and you have enough room in there to where you could put, I would say, 2 large onion rings from Burger King. It's funny because growing up, that was the thing I loved about Burger King, the one thing. The one thing. I didn't care about Whoppers. I don't care about their flame broiled nonsense. But man, the onion rings, you couldn't get those at McDonald's. But of course at McDonald's they had the Happy Meal. So, and it was all about the toy. What toy was in the Happy Meal? Seat, soft touch, the stitching. You'll notice these are GR Corolla seats. Right out of the GR Corolla with the orange stitching. Manual control for the passenger. I have electric control. And that's the other thing is that in the sedan, you don't get these seats. So it is nice that they kind of spoiled you with GR Corolla seats. And you're not paying $40,000. No sunroof. I personally don't care. I'm sure you do. Let me know in the comment section. Why don't you come over here to the business center? I want to show you behind the wheel in this special edition Corolla. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel now. The other zonk I have for a sporty car like this, no aluminum pedals whatsoever. None. But like I said, on the driver's side, you do have an 8-way adjustable seat. I'm 6 feet tall. Plenty of room in here. Plenty of room. Steering wheel, plain Jane horn button, but you do get the Inferno orange stitching all the way around, flat black on the switchgear. You do have a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And then of course, you have that 8-inch digital gauge cluster with your LED bar graph. And when you go into your different modes, it does change slightly. That is sport mode, it's red. Normal is blue. Does anybody want to take a guess what eco color is? Green, like trees. We're gonna go sport. You do have paddles behind the wheel for the simulated shifting. And it just would have been nice to have a cool horn, like a special horn button. It says something, special edition or something. But why don't we get into the back seat? Because I want to take you for a spin in this FX. Hi guys, back seat time. When it comes to the Corolla hatch, I'll just tell you exactly how it is. It's tight back here. I mean, there's not as much room as a GTI, Volkswagen GTI, but at least I'm not touching the headliner, so that's good. It just, in the shoulder area, it just feels a little cramped. Now, you do have large pockets on the backs of both seats. You could get 4 pounds of Skittles back there. 2 USB-Cs, no rear AC vents. That's a zonk. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like claustrophobic or something, which normally I don't feel claustrophobic. I just feel weird sitting in the back seat. Maybe because I'm just a control freak. I just love to be behind the wheel. That's probably what it is. Pull this down. Nice, soft 2 cup holders. I like the way they did the orange stitching and the Alcantara, just like the GR seats, which are nice. But let's get in that cargo area because I'm about ready to go for an ice cream. All right, guys, time to get into that hatch area now. Normally when we look at hatchbacks, say like the GTI from Volkswagen or, you know, a hatchback from Mazda, you see a lot of room. Not so much in the Corolla hatch. So this one does have a spare. I'll prove it to you. It's underneath right there. What that does is it really limits the amount of room you have. So not too much space. I guess the good news is the seats do fold down 60-40 split. And on a regular Corolla hatch, you can option in, believe it or not, no spare to get more cargo room. You could do that. But what I want to do is I want to see how this Corolla FX drives. So why don't you hop in with me into those GR Corolla seats and we're going to go for a spin. All right, guys, we are inside this 2026 Corolla FX. And right away, all the things that you like about the standard Corolla, you're going to like in this car as well. Getting to the infotainment system is well within reach. It's easy to read the dash. Great visibility. You have all of the Toyota sensing technology. And then of course you have this really sporty appearance package. Plus these seats, like I said, right out of the GR Corolla are phenomenal. Now, what I wish they would have done was just added a little bit more. I feel like Toyota does not have a competitor to the Civic Si. And this could have been that great moment where maybe they put something together. Now, the good news is that even though it has an eCVT, Toyota's is probably the best because it has a solid first gear and then the rest is CVT. The simulated shifts, they definitely have improved those over the past couple years. And the ride is really sporty in this trim because of the way that they tune the suspension, but don't think that it's going to shake your fillings out of your mouth because it's not. Still not a harsh ride, but you definitely feel that quickness in the steering, which is nice. But the color, especially with the wheels and the rear spoiler, really makes this Corolla stand out from the crowd. And then we're gonna go on throttle here. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go. Simulated shifts, keeping the revs down, which is nice. I guess what I would call this, especially back when I was in high school, is that this car is basically all show and no go. But with that being said, the MPGs, 30 in the city, you're not gonna be stopping for fuel very often. So if you are doing a long distance race, like over the length of a state, you're probably gonna win because you're not gonna be stopping for gas very often. So at least you got that going. But I'm really glad that they put the GR Corolla seats in here. It really kind of makes the inside feel as sporty as the outside, especially in what you're sitting in. And they hold you in very well without being too tight. But the handling in the Corolla, especially the hatchback, is very predictable. And it's easy to drive. I mean, that's the bottom line too. They really have done a lot better job with the simulated gears. I'm very happy to report that. The handling is decent, not a bunch of body roll, which is nice. On throttle, here we go. Just like I said, a very predictable, confidence-inspiring car. This would be perfect for somebody who maybe is a new driver and wants to have something sporty looking, but also wants something that is reliable and predictable. But I hope that this has been a good overall review of this Corolla FX. We're gonna get back to Clearwater Toyota and wrap this one up. So I will see you in a split second. All right, guys, another great day as always here at Clearwater Toyota. Definitely got to thank Chris and the rest of the crew getting us their very first 2026 Corolla FX in the hatchback form. Now it's your turn to let Toyota know what you think. Are you liking the style? Do you like the price? And are there any things missing that you would like to see added? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiders Res family. Gotta get up to Stephen Flood. You know, he's out here eating his Hostess treats, enjoying the sunshine, and just focusing on getting to the gym and getting bigger. That's all he wants to do, is just get big in the muscles. So thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to this channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the brand new 2026 Toyota Corolla hatchback, courtesy of Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in this one because the Corolla hatch is known for fuel efficiency, it's known for reliability, and it's known for fun all at the same time. There is one major change for the 2026 model year as well, and in case you were curious, this one's going to be competing with the Mazda 3 hatch and the Civic hatch. The difference being the Corolla hatch, for whatever reason, is substantially less expensive, so keep that in mind. But ultimately in this video we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2026 Corolla hatchback. First one being the SE, starting at $24,180, which is a $675 bump from the 2025 model year, in case you were curious. Then you have the FX, which is a brand new trim level for 2026. That one starts at $26,780. And lastly, the XSE, being the one we are in today, going for $27,175. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Corolla hatch is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder. It splits out 169 horsepower at 6,600 RPM, 151 pound-feet of torque coming in at 4,800 RPM. That power is going to be sent to the front wheels through a CVT with paddle shifters, which of course you guys know we will be testing out here in a little bit. But 0 to 60 time approximately 7.5 seconds. But if you were comparing this to the Corolla sedan, the Corolla sedan actually comes in at 7.8 seconds, so the hatch is going to be slightly quicker there, with MPG numbers coming in at 32 in the city, 41 on the highway for the SE, then 30 in the city, 38 then on the highway for the FX and the SXE trim levels, taking regular unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration or paddle shifter test here in the Corolla hatch, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. It's a silver toggle switch located just in front of the shifter. Drive modes are going to include Eco, Normal, and Sport, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. So now I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters react, and of course let's see how quickly we can get the new Corolla hatch here up to speed. All right, found a straightaway. Full manual shift mode, by the way, is all the way to the back and to the left. I am in sport driving mode. It's telling me what simulated gear I am in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. I think I said this last year. This car is so good at simulating an automatic transmission. This is a CVT. Traditionally, CVTs feel like CVTs. It's just one big rubber band kind of thing. But Toyota did a really good job with this CVT because it really does feel like you're almost shifting through gears. So when I hit the paddle shifters there, it kind of lunged me forward like I shifted to the next gear or something. It's pretty darn cool. Like, I didn't expect that. So the paddle shifters are kind of fun, I will admit. Although you're not technically shifting through any gears, they are still kind of fun to play around with. So I like that. And also, having said that, acceleration is plenty fine. Like, this car has plenty power for what it is. So you're definitely not going to have any issues emerging onto the highway. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. That is plenty respectable, believe it or not. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's still plenty respectable for the class. I'll just put it that way. So I actually don't mind any of that. That turned out pretty darn good. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 11.5-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 10.5-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6 easier stopping distance goes, that comes in at 129 feet, which isn't the best number on paper, but we're gonna put it to the test here nonetheless. As far as braking feel goes, wow, it's actually not that bad. I love the downshift there. That's why I said wow. It's sport driving mode. That's kind of cool, but it's actually not that bad. It's a little bit firmer of a braking feel. And like the number led me to believe that it was going to be a much softer braking feel, but it actually felt kind of good. Like I don't have any issues with the braking either. So far, performance isn't that bad, but then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension. As far as ride quality goes, as we're cruising down the most smooth road in Hagerstown, it's been pretty darn good. But having said that, traditionally when I've driven these vehicles, I've driven all the compact cars at this point, Corolla usually does have the best ride quality, believe it or not. I'm not just saying that. I've driven over 1,000 cars at this point. It really does. I think it's this and the Elantra as far as 1 and 2 when it comes to ride quality. The Civic, you can feel everything. Mazda's not bad, but it's not Corolla good. Like when it comes to ride quality, if you're looking for ride quality in a compact, the Corolla's got it on lockdown for that. As far as steering feel goes, now that's going to adjust dependent upon the drive mode that you put it in. Let me start by saying that. In just the regular normal driving mode, it's kind of on the looser side of things, but the cool thing is it's got that sport driving mode. So with the sport driving mode, it's a heavier weight to the steering, instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go. So a much more playful feel. Not quite as good as the Mazda 3, but it's still pretty darn good. Like it's something that I wouldn't have any issues with. So I like the steering feel in the sport driving mode. I'll just put it that way. Then touching on cabin noise, as we're going 48 miles per hour right now. I'll take it out of sport driving mode so it's not higher up in the RPMs, but I'll be quiet here for a second. It's not that bad. Honestly, again, it's nothing that would personally bother me, and I'll do another test here. We're about to hit the bridge here. It works for me. Like I said, it's not going to bother me. Then touching on rear visibility, I mean, with hatchbacks, they're traditionally not going to be as good as the sedans, but this one actually isn't that bad. I remember the Mazda 3 being absolutely horrible, so comparing this to that, this is pretty darn good for a hatchback. I'll just put it that way, but anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Toyota Corolla hatchback. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Toyota Corolla hatchback, finished in a color combination of black and wind chill pearl, in case you were curious about that. And by the way, those color combinations, they range from like $500 to $900, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. So you can get solid colors. They're no extra charge, but if you wanted one of the two-tone colors, they're around that ballpark. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Corolla hatch is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter J, indicating that the Corolla hatchback is built and assembled in Japan, as it should be, JDM. So starting up front, you will find a gloss black front grille that will come standard for all trim levels across the board. LED headlights to the sides with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. And then you guys can see in the bottom corners there, you also have LED fog lights, but those are only for the XSE trim level that we have with us here today. So I did want to emphasize that, but anyways, that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, LED integrated turn signals actually do come standard for all trim levels across the board. I wanted to start by mentioning that. Taking a look down at the wheel setup, the wheel setup is actually going to differ pretty substantially as well. For example, the SE trim level is going to give you 16-inch alloys. The FX has the coolest looking wheels of any of the trim levels. I just want to say that. Why? Because they're 18-inch white alloys. In a world of dark wheels these days, everything's gloss black wheel setup. Some are gunmetal like we have with us here today, and these are 18-inch alloys, which you guys are looking at. This is specific to the XSE, but the FX gives you white alloy wheels. They look like they're straight off a circuit car or a car from Fast and Furious or something like that. They just look stinking cool. But anyways, overall side profile, especially with their two-tone color combo, definitely looks good. That pretty much rounds out the side profile though. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Corolla hatch here, all the way to the top, you're going to get a gloss black shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. If you go with the FX though, there's going to be kind of an additional rally type spoiler up on top of this spoiler, just to let you guys know about that. Rear window wiper affixed to the rear glass back there for all trim levels, of course. LED taillights also coming standard for all trim levels. They look absolutely amazing. Got some trim level badging back there. You guys can see the XSE badging, of course. And then just below it all, this is the part where I wish Toyota would have changed it up a little bit. There is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away. However, with it being a hatchback, hatchbacks typically being a little bit sportier of cars, would have loved to have seen an exhaust outlet that's possibly exposed, or best case scenario integrated into the rear bumper. I think that would look absolutely amazing. It doesn't even have to be dual exhaust outlets. Just make it something interesting. Like, this is a sporty car. This should have a little bit more flair when it comes to the exhaust system. But anyways, having said that, let's check out the exhaust note. I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Here is that exhaust clip. All right, so since we are around to the back of this one still, when it comes to opening that rear hatch, there is a rubberized button on the bottom portion of that hatch.